Federal Minister for Science and Technology, Mr. Fawad Chaudhry, thank you so much for joining us on voicepk.net, our digital media platform. One of the things that is of great concern to us is how has your ministry been involved in carving out a strategy to fight this pandemic, and how do you want to be involved moving forward, and what are some of the things that your ministry is doing?
Well, frankly, we have contributed our bit in a very satisfactory manner, I would say. On 26th February, when the first cases of corona were actually surfaced in Pakistan, there were actually two cases on 26th February. At that time, we were not actually manufacturing anything related to COVID in Pakistan. On 5th March, Pakistan had the shortage of hand sanitizers. And this was the kind of start for us. So when I checked the figures, I realized that the Pakistan is the third largest exporter of ethanol, alcohol, which is the main raw material for such kind of disinfectants. So we initiated a project in Pakistan, PCSIR, Pakistan Council for Industrial Scientist Research. Then we involved defense production with us. Then obviously the private sector, joined hands with us. And within 1 month, we are not only that we are producing hand sanitizers and other disinfectants enough for Pakistan, but we are also now exporting these high quality WHO standards disinfectants. Likewise, the PP kits. Actually, only China was manufacturing PP kits in the world, and the whole world was buying from China. So when this pandemic, surfaced, so Chinese industry went into a huge pressure, and they were failed to produce enough for the world. So you witnessed doctors and paramedic staff protests in New York, in Queens, in France, in London, and so in Pakistan. But in Pakistan, we started a project with APTMA and the Pakistan Ready-Made Garments Association. And there are laboratories we set up for them for the particle tests. Basically, what happens is that they put up a fabric and then particles are thrown on the fabric to test that whether it can resist those particles or not. So we actually helped both APTMA and Pakistan Ready-Made Garments Association to set up PP plants. And Alhamdulillah, within like 2.5 months, we are actually yesterday the first gift of PPEs from Pakistan to USA was sent, and USA government has received gift of PPEs from Pakistan, which usually really doesn't happen to Pakistan. We usually accept gift from USA and nothing more, but we have actually done that.
But unfortunately, Minister, one of the things that we have seen, not just in Punjab, but also in Karachi and in all the provinces, that the doctors have said that they do not have enough PPE equipment. The reason being that once you use a PPE equipment, you have to throw it, discard it, and then get another one. So there is going to be a shortage of PPE equipment till we do not really find the vaccine. Um, are you going to be able to kind of satisfy the market that is out there, try and give enough PPE kits so that doctors feel protected?
In Pakistan, there is no shortage of PPs anymore. The only thing that is short, that you can say that we need it more is N95 masks, which have not been in commercialization, zone yet. But the rest of the all PPs we manufacture, and we manufacture more than enough. So, as far as the capacity of the provincial governments and federal governments of supplying may be an issue, and maybe somewhere the supply side may be a problem for them, because now NDMA buys that, then they distribute it to provinces, and provinces then distribute it to the hospitals. In my view, actually hospitals should be allowed to buy directly from the local PPE manufacturers. There is no need of such a long supply chain, but that is another issue. But as far as the availability is concerned, that we have now much more than Pakistan needs.
One of the statements that you made recently was about the herd immunity. And you very correctly pointed out, according to all experts around the world, that herd immunity, there hasn't been enough testing done on it, there hasn't been enough research on it. And you said that it's very dangerous now to open up in a way when herd immunity has not been proven to be the correct way forward. I'm trying to understand what was the justification of easing restrictions at a time when cases were going up, when we were climbing up the peak, and you had found specifically that herd immunity may not work out for Pakistan.
Well, actually, I don't find out. I'm not an expert to that. So what we did do is we created an experts committee in Ministry of Science and Technology, which is headed by prominent scientists, and it involves Pakistan's top virologists and scientists. And we seek their opinion, they give their opinion, and we narrate that opinion to the public. So I am more of a spokesperson for that committee. I'm not an
Absolutely, you're
expert.
heading
I,
that
I
ministry.
don't
Yes.
make opinion. So there, as far as herd immunity is concerned, obviously there are we need data to prove that herd immunity actually is an effective mean to counter COVID, which is not there. So likewise, the restrictions, the way Supreme Court actually made an order, or at least the impression of the order, after that the lockdown was literally open and everyone was in the market, everyone was in the malls, shopping malls, and it was like life as usual in back in Pakistan after Supreme Court order. So we are actually, as per our experts, they believe that the peak of corona has not yet arrived in Pakistan, and we are expecting that the 3 weeks of June will actually determine that Pakistan is now can go ahead as a normal country, or we need precautions to go a long way. Because in these 3 weeks of June will actually be the peak of corona in Pakistan, and frankly, without again, I would say, without a very solid research and without a very strong evidence that such openings will not threaten the lives of people, that should not have been done. But unfortunately, that has been done, and Prime Minister actually from day one is um kind of asking people to, if you want to open up with SOPs. But I think after the Supreme Court order, everything uh, went to hayway, and people chose their own way of life.
What is your concern as a federal minister of the PTI government, as somebody who's heading the science and technology ministry? What do you think we are headed for? You say that after the Supreme Court verdict, there was no choice but to open up without taking into account some of the SOPs that has been devised by your government. You must have some assessment of where things are going, and what are your concerns?
Actually, we're looking at the situation with huge concern, and all the researchers and the scientists and the virologists are very confused on the way things are now happening in Pakistan. The SOPs, SOPs were first violated by religious clergy uh, in the mosques, and then by in the majalis, those happened. So everyone actually violated those. And then again, the traders opted the same routine. So practically, we are back in kind of a very normal. Life is very back in a very normal, I would say, way. But the problem is that we don't have enough evidence to prove or to suggest that this will have no effect, and we have to wait till June that how this will affect us.
You are a lawyer and you have been part of the law community for a very long time. Do you think that this order can be reviewed?
Well, frankly, the Supreme Court next day has already reviewed their order effectively and has actually clarified many of the impressions those were gathered from the Supreme Court order. But the problem is frankly that Supreme Court. First, we must admit and we must realize that this social distancing, or a very to be alone in our houses, we are not programmed for that. So
That's
human is a very social animal. We depend on each other. We are like our whole life circle is connected to each other. So it's very difficult for us to maintain that kind of lifestyle. So The problem was that this enforcement of the SOPs on such kind of, such kind of programmed, uh,
Mm.
that the human is actually programmed totally opposite to what we are trying to enforce. So enforcement of a law that is actually totally against human nature was very difficult in the first instance. So, but when the Supreme Court remarks appeared, it literally gave a way to ordinary citizen to actually just ignore those enforcement or SOPs and started everyone started normal life. So actually, the Supreme Court order, I would say, either is misinterpreted, or the way media carried it, or the way judges' remarks were actually were carried by the media, or whatever the reason. But the fact is that after the Supreme Court order, the effectivity of SOPs, the effectivity of the enforcement, and effectivity of the the government directions was actually totally gone haywire.
Now, you also gave a statement and you said that we will have to live with the coronavirus till next year, 2021, as far as perhaps October and November. If that is the case, and you're heading the Science and Technology Ministry, how will you try and help people live with this coronavirus in a way that they can fight the pandemic moving forward from now until a year to come?
Well, frankly, the all again, this is my statement is based on the statement or the analysis of the five biggest pharma companies of the world. Uh, by production, they are the biggest production facility. They have the maximum production facilities of manufacturing vaccine. So Johnson and Johnson, Roche, Novartis, Ivonic, these all analyze that. Before September, it will be to 2021, it will be very difficult to have vaccine in a mass production. So this means that at least 1.5 year, the world has to live with coronavirus. So actually,
You
this,
prepared for distribution. I think the question really is that 8 billion people are going to need this vaccine. Now, in Pakistan, we are not people who make medicines. I mean, we are not known for making medicines. Eventually, this vaccine has to get to everybody. There has to be a distribution route that has to be thought out. What is the government thinking on that account?
Actually, as far as the vaccination is concerned, the Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and many countries in the Africa, we already have a very detailed networks of supplying of vaccine. It's about the availability. For example, you see, we have these polio workers who go to every nook and corner and give vaccines, and also the vaccinations of the kids is a very long term and very known phenomena in countries like us. So distribution is not an issue, or applying vaccine is not an issue. It's about the availability of vaccine, which will not be possible before the September. So people have to actually change their lifestyles. We have to go more digital. We already are going more digital. Actually, if USA and China would not have been in that trade war, and USA would have allowed Huawei to go on with their 5G, technology, we might have been into a very super digital era by now without COVID. But
But that's a separate matter. I think also one of the things that you said is that you have discovered that the strain that is currently running through Pakistan came from Wuhan. That's a very interesting statement that you made, and it's a very important statement that you made. How did you come to that conclusion, and what evidence is there to suggest that the strain that is running in Pakistan came from Wuhan?
we have done the five genomes of the virus here in Pakistan. We're working on a total of 100 viruses structure study that is now going on in the five different universities. The first university, the publication, the research has actually been published today at GJ Center. That is part of the Karachi University has done a genome study of five different viruses, and they have come to the conclusion that the virus in Pakistan is exactly of the same nature as of in Wuhan. So and there are not much difference between the two. And now we are bringing another 95 samples to study the virus in Pakistan.
And you also said that the origin came from the bat. Now, the world is asking very tough questions of China. And once the world has stopped firefighting this pandemic, China will have very tough questions to answer. Do you feel that there has to be an independent inquiry into what really happened in Wuhan?
But that is more into international politics and the Cold War between China and America that is playing into it. But fact of the matter is now all the independent the scientists and all independent magazines have already concluded that this was a natural phenomena. Actually the virus was transferred from mammal like bat to human, and this happened absolutely naturally. This happens very often, and again, I would say that I don't know. This needs a research that why some serious viruses have actually come from China. Maybe because of the wide markets they have, or maybe the the eating habits they have. This
Yeah.
is another question that needs obviously a detailed research. But as far as more rest of it is more for politics than
No,
anything
but
that
you have
belongs to.
never been shy of making political statements, Minister. And since China is, we share a very special relationship with China, and we have a friendly relationship towards China. Do you feel that Pakistan is in a position, and at least Pakistan should ask China exactly what really went on in Wuhan, which caused so many deaths around the world?
Well, frankly, as I said, there is if hardcore science, as far as hardcore science is concerned, we don't have to play politics on that. And the scientists are already working on this question and have fairly concluded that it's a natural phenomenon.
All right, last two questions because I'm a journalist. I have to ask you these political questions, and we've just had the sugar crisis report out as well. Firstly, Eid is very close by. Is there now some kind of some kind of a indication of when Eid will actually be held and celebrated across Pakistan, or is there still something that is on the table and it is being discussed?
Well, frankly, we have already given our calendar, and that shows that Eid will be on 24th. And interestingly, this year, actually, the whole Muslim world will be celebrating Eid 24th. Be it Bangladesh or Turkey, be it Indonesia or Malaysia, be it Brunei or any other country in the world. So all the whole Muslim Ummah will actually be celebrating Eid on 24th. Uh, we have already predicted that. But if the Rote Halal committee, the committee on the elderly, I would say
Cleric.
the ulama or Maulvi Saiban that has been constituted by Religious Affairs Ministry, if they go by Met Office and delay Eid by a day, then obviously Pakistan will be the only Islamic country in the world that will be actually celebrating Eid on 25th. So I hope that sanity will prevail, and government one day, the cabinet will and the prime minister office will come up on to the conclusion that we have to adopt scientific means and not the the backward style of announcing it.
Now, the sugar cartel report is all out. It's all for public viewing. And it lays very serious blame on Jahangir Khan Tareen, who's a very eminent leader of the PTI. The question really is that indirectly the PTI and the Prime Minister benefited from Jahangir Khan Tareen. Now there are very serious accusations on Jahangir Khan Tareen regarding this report. The question really is, where does the buck stop? Because it's not just Jahangir Khan Tareen alone. There are now questions being raised on the judgment of the Prime Minister, of the kind of people that he does have close to him leading the party, that he perhaps may have been wrong about in his judgment in the past.
It's nothing about the people. It's about the systems those are in place in Pakistan. Industrial capture is not something limited to Sugar Mill Association, frankly. If you just probe car manufacturers, you will find the same stuff. If you probe the cement industry, you probe any other industry in Pakistan, textile industry, you will actually reach on almost on the same conclusion as you have reached on the sugar mill association cases. And I have no doubts about that the allegations leveled in the reports about some of the mills are absolutely correct. And the kind of the system that has been exposed in this report are actually that. As far as Jahangir Khan Tareen is concerned, I think he's one of the most fair businessmen we have in Pakistan. He has always acted fairly. He has always, and his role in PTI certainly was very, very important. And I hope that he will be able to come out of this allegations leveled against him. As far as Prime Minister is concerned, if Prime Minister would have involved, why would he ask for inquiry? So actually, it's the
But he directly benefited from it by using his resources. The Prime Minister actually directly benefited from it. So if it's a matter of accountability, shouldn't there be accountability beyond that? And the question is being asked, where does the buck stop?
No, people contribute to parties, and it's the party that has benefited from someone. It's not about the prime minister who benefited from someone. People do all over the world. People do give donations to the party. People do favor parties, political parties, and that is because of a cause. And obviously in Pakistan too. But if someone has done personal issue, if someone has come up with a personal kind of liabilities. It's the personal liability. Why the party has to, accuse of that? Because you cannot, if someone comes to me and to make a donation for my district, for example, for hospital, I'm not going back to check his accounts. I will obviously accept that, and then it's for the FBR and other organizations and institutions to come up with their, duty.
Will the other ministers who are involved in this probe be asked to resign, including your coalition partner? Will that be a demand of the ruling party?
Well, frankly, all those who have liabilities will have to go through FIA inquiries. And if there are criminal liabilities, they will suffer. We already have, Dr. Babar Rahman was minister in last time, he had to resign. Alim Khan was minister, he had to resign. Sabtain Saab was a minister, he had to resign. They went to jail actually and got bailed and come out. So if there will be anything, they have to be, and they have to answer the queries.
Well, thank you, Federal Minister for Science and Technology, Fawad Chaudhry, for joining us on this program, and we wish you a very happy Eid.
Always a pleasure.